Ladies and gentlemen, the time has come. My name is Joel. I am here on Strong Style Stories, and we see someone we have not seen before, or if you're listening to the podcast, you still haven't seen, because it's an audio experience. But I'm going to give him a proper introduction this time. From the guy that did the New Japan thing, Kevin Kelly.
That's hardly proper. I mean, it's factually correct, but
You did the thing, the New Japan thing.
I did the thing.
Yeah, you did the thing. I said you did the thing. I got it right this time.
You did. You have misaligned me. You have misavowed me. You have mischievously mistaken me throughout the weeks of this show, Miss. But now we're together once again after a slight break.
A hiatus, if you will.
Yes.
I don't need to buy you a thesaurus, seemingly,
No.
because you've just listed off all the things. So lovely to see you or hear you for those listening. How are you doing?
I'm doing
should
well.
I say, where's Kevin?
Good question. Can you scooch over to your right?
Like that?
Thank you. Because your library is so enormous behind you that I wasn't sure you knew that you were. I wanted to see the books that were behind you on both your right and left shoulders evenly. And now you look great.
I look amazing. I'd leaned over. I've got the creakiest chairs, but don't worry, it will be edited out in post. So, unlike the Farley episode where it was just absolute carnage because I decided to call him when New Zealand had woken up, and we did a call that was absolute carnage. But I digress. Kevin Kelly, you have the floor and the ceiling and the walls and the popcorn machine.
I do have a popcorn machine behind me. I do want to say thank you to both TJP and Bad Luck Don Fale, Need the Don, for subbing in and telling some great stories while I was away. Joel, you did a fine job, as fine as a job as you could do, given your limitations. But nevertheless, it was some good list. Why are you making that face?
No, that's just my face.
Ah,
this is genetics.
You're a handsome boy. Stop.
I know. I'm well. Not when I was on the call with TJP. That prick.
No, he's a handsome man.
He's older than me as well. Did not appreciate that.
He started wrestling. He was on the undercard of Strangler Lewis and Frank Gotch, and now is still there today. He was semifinal to Buddy Rogers and Pat O'Connor in '63, and he's still main eventing all over the world, including now in AAA. So huzzah to you, TJP.
And the introduction I gave him was, he is 98% of the internet. I said I printed out his Wikipedia page and killed all of the Brazilian rainforest. That man's been everywhere. But it was a pleasure to speak to him, and also the fact that he said yes, and also Farley. What a lovely guy. And also, coming up, I haven't been getting a few guests, but it's contract season, and it's very difficult getting people to tie down when they are negotiating. But
totally fine.
Hopefully, someone that is very much a friend of yours and very much full of praise for you is Gino the Bambino. He's surfaced. He's
scraping the bottom of the barrel if you're getting Gino Gambino as a guest for this podcast.
No, I would say wrestling scraping the bottom of the barrel because he's laced up his boots again. So
yeah, the business has now gone back, and it's unfortunate, but nevertheless. But no, thank you to those who filled in, and thank you for all your patience, and thanks to everybody who sent a note that said, "Hey, what happened?" And so let's answer those questions. This is tough for me to talk about, and I've been gearing myself up for a few weeks to talk about this. This is not news to some people. To you, Joel, you knew years ago, and to some of my friends who knew quite a while ago, not news. And this is also something that is, while it is very personal to me, it is not unique to me. There are many, many people who go through the same thing that I go through every single day. There are friends of mine that are in the wrestling industry. There are people who are fans of the wrestling industry that go through this. There's millions of people that I have not met. But in some way, I hope to connect all of us together through talking about our time together in New Japan and all the great stories that we had, plus a little bit of not just behind the scenes, but more of behind the scenes of what was going on with Kevin at this time. And what I have been dealing with and what I'm talking about is mental illness, and more specifically, bipolar disorder. This is something that I began to, I was quoted as, depressed, suffering from depression, generalized anxiety back in the early 2000s. And for the longest time, I was on the same medication and I just plateaued and nothing really changed. And then about 6 years ago, something happened called COVID. And while I didn't get COVID, I was affected by it. It affected my work. It affected where I was going to be. It made me second guess what I was going to do with the rest of my life. And things started to kind of mildly go up and down, right? So instead of being like this, I now started to have some peaks and valleys, mostly valleys. And then it sort of leveled off and got back to work. And then I started with my involvement with AEW. And then, oh boy.
Which ignited it. Yeah. And I think I think with it being bipolar, I appreciate the side of like the mental health side, but with that bipolar, we're going to do sort of a sub thing. I've got one of the best specialist mental health nurses in the UK, who's a friend of mine. She's not only going to help me with the notes for this podcast, but has been, Claire is her name. She's been an absolute godsend for me, because obviously I'm very worried about my friend, but he is on the other side of the world and I'm not going to America anytime soon. So he's she's been great, and she's also agreed to do supplemental like podcasts to talk about it. And I think, as with strong style stories, the strongest thing you can do is open up and say these things, but also there's always a story behind it. And you lived through the Attitude Era, my friend, and I can only assume before the public traded company element. So that would have been carnage in itself. And the fact that the medication worked for that long is well, yay science, but also, I'm glad you are getting the help that you are.
And part of it too was that I was level, right? Me, Kevin was working in different industries while still like part-time with Ring of Honor, and everything was sort of copacetic. I had bought a house, everything was fine. We're not really dealing with huge amounts of stress. A little bit when I was doing the travel for Ring of Honor, that was rotten. Just because it was such a thing. Like, I'd go to bed and I would wake up thinking, oh my God, ACH has missed his flight again. It was a lot of that. But now when I left AEW, I was letting them know when they said, don't come back, I was telling them that I was under this severe anxiety and I was losing my mind. They knew that. And of course I yelled at the woman on the phone in HR because I was losing my mind. And a couple of weeks later, I went into the hospital. And I think I spent 2 weeks or so in the behavioral health inpatient clinic. And that was eye-opening. And then it didn't get better. It allowed me to fake my way through it differently. And I'm sure that we can ask all the mental health leaders, England, America, wherever in the world, they'll all say, oh yeah, everybody puts on a mask and finds a good way to fake their way through it.
Yeah.
Because that's what I was doing, Joel. And you knew that
And
because I was
I
telling
knew
you.
that. Yeah, I not only knew that, I knew that when you were in Japan. We've hinted at why did you leave New Japan, and it was to come home. But I also knew this was going on. I think I've talked about how hard the G1 was, but also the fact that, let's be honest, the fact that it's really hard because I always want to defend you, but I
Right.
have never defended you online because that would be the ultimate trust disappearing, because you'd be like, don't you know he's suffering with bipolar? Don't you? And it's not for me to say. I've not,
Right.
I because this is beyond sort of, social media or rest. This is, someone's personal life, and
Right.
someone that I've known, going on 8 years, and been very close to for at least 6 of them, and in that time you've gone downhill. So that's probably a review of our friendship, Kevin.
Thank you. Yes. Thanks.
Before you didn't have bipolar before you met me, baby.
Wasn't diagnosed.
No, no, it wasn't.
So thank you. It's interesting, Joel, because you were there and you and I became friends, and I was like, I'm almost like opening myself up to at that point, a virtual stranger, someone that I barely knew personally, that I knew through Boy Simmons. And even he was like, oh, mate, he's a nice man. Just, hang up on him if he gets to be too much.
I could hear him saying that.
Right. So, so here I was sort of bearing my soul to you, which is a lot of pressure. And that is something that I owe you a great thank you for and a huge apology for, because in the midst of my manic episodes, you don't know how you're burdening your friends and your family and your loved ones with your illness, and you're just lashing out. You're just, I don't care. So thank you, and I apologize. You're an amazing friend, and I apologize for the burden that I put on you.
It's friendship's never a burden. It's when you ask for money, damn it, that's where the burden comes in.
By the way, that's coming later because we've got a special timeshare edition of Strong Style Stories where I'll be going into my new business venture where
it's, hey, just because it sounds like it's shaped like a pyramid doesn't mean it is, all right?
Okay, let's just remember that.
Yeah, it's multi-level marketing. That's what they call it now.
And as you're going through, you're trying to, am I alone in this world? Am I the only one who feels this way? And one of my, as you know, because I've told you, and you've made some amazing photoshops with Tetsuya Naito on the set of General Hospital, which I'd forgotten that he was a special guest. That one of the most popular, most well-known actors in soap opera land, of course, is the actor who plays Sonny Corinthos on General Hospital, and before that, All My Children, he was on that, Maurice Benard. And he does a podcast every week or every other week called State of Mind, which is about his struggle with bipolar disorder. And he has his friends on to talk about their mental health. Some of them have a good mental health situation, and they talk about how they've maintained their good mental health. And others have struggled, and some have the same struggle that Maurice and I have. So it's, and a couple of actors, one actor in particular went on recently and said, I've never told anybody this before in my life in public. And here's his bearing his soul about this. And that's the first time I've really talked about it. So it was the journey in New Japan was a lot of times, most of my frustration, which then would turn into a bit of manic episode, was built around my sort of generalized frustration, believe it or not, kids, in wanting New Japan and New Japan World in particular to do more. Hey, I'm here. I'm sitting in a hotel doing nothing. I'd be more than happy to host some new segments, to do some more things, to talk about this, to do that, whatever you'd like, whatever you need. And they would say, maybe no. And not that it was because they didn't want to, it was because they didn't have the bandwidth to. It's very frustrating.
Yes.
And so here I am, 8,000 miles away from home, kind of on a voluntary basis. Not that I wasn't getting paid, but I could have said, send me back home. I'll be back for when the shows are. But I wanted to save the company money and this and that. I'm like, I'm here and we could do this. And we got all these great ideas. And me and Rocky, who and Jay White and David Finley and Juice Robinson and LP and every foreigner who's been around and through the company has said, why don't we do this? Why don't we do that? Kenny Omega, Kota Ibushi have all thrown their hat in the ring and said, look at me here. Look, I've got my hand up. I'm happy to volunteer. Whatever you want, whatever you need. Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa, Jeff Cobb. And it just never really went anywhere. So I saw myself as like, I took that personally. And the other thing too is when my friends are upset, I get upset. And they would call me or text me or talk to me at breakfast at the Tokyo Dome Hotel and say this, that, and the other thing, and blah, 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 blah. Not one person ever left New Japan because they were mad about the money situation. It wasn't I'm mad at money. They've lowballed me. I quit. No, it was just, I can make more over here, so that's what I'm going to do. But what made them mad, what pissed them off, was when they would say, we can do this and this and this and this, and it will help the product grow. And then you won't have the excuse to say, I don't have the money to pay you. And that's what pissed them off. We're all creators. You're a creator. And when you can't be creative, not because you don't have an idea, not because you don't have the talent, but because somebody that you work for is like, man, maybe it's not that important.
But also, I also want to say you did the 2-minute podcast, right? You did the quick go over sports.
Yes.
And that was you personally. That was just something you did, and then they put the kibosh on it. They said no. So it's not just the restriction. If you were New Japan contracted now, there's no way we would have been able to do it.
Correct.
Potentially through the TV Asahi route, but I've told you those stories. TV Asahi are a really great company, and they are working with a card manufacturer. Let's be honest. So it is restrictive.
They're more forward thinking, but this is Japan as a whole. Now, one of the things that I was told that when I first got there was, you're going to kind of run into a wall with this. It was Rocky or Carl Anderson, and both, you know what I mean? They had been through this. And, so it was a new fight for me. I'm like, let's freaking go. We're hot. If you looked at the Google Analytics, by the way, and if you looked at Google's search from starting in 2014,
15, yeah.
15, 16, Zoom, brother. Like, this is people searching for your product on Google.
And they had 5 or 6 wrestlers on there. It was Okada, Tanahashi, Naito, Kenny Omega, and Kota Ibushi. So they had the roster that was on the way up. WrestleNomics, Brandon Thurston, who I credit. Yeah, I credit him and Mookie, who now works with AEW. I credit both of them that listening to them for so long helped me get a job in the media. And I will
Chris
I will say that.
Chris Harrington is a great guy. I love him. What a smart man. Wonderful to be around. You get smarter around it. You get smarter just by hanging around him, not even having him to listen to him. Just being.
And I miss his podcast because he'd talk about laser discs from charity shops. I was like, this is perfect. We are meant to be Chris Harrington.
I need coffee.
He needs coffee. You think this is about coffee? Also, that is somewhere. You think this is about coffee is something that Kevin's been involved in. You call yourself the Forrest Gump of professional wrestling, and I think that works. You'll see Kevin everywhere, and
I just happened to be there.
Yeah, but you were there, and you've got that experience. So
one of my favorite jokes in wrestling, in the locker room, is, and this started with Tom Brandi, and then continued over to Stevie Richards.
Okay.
Tom Brandi and me would be standing near each other having a conversation or whatever, or Tom would walk up on me, let's say, as management, Vince, somebody would walk near within earshot, and Tom would go, "Hey, Kevin, when did you get here?" And then our love of that, and of course Stevie being the victim of that, then Stevie and I just continued that for years, and now we just say it with the two of us just by each other. "Hey, Stevie, when did you get here?" "Oh, thanks, I just got here." Whoever says it first. Those are kind of like the silly, innocent banter, the behind the scenes stuff, the moments of, what kind of coffee are we drinking? I never heard of Vietnamese coffee before until Kenny and the Bucks told me about it. And I couldn't wait to go to St. Mark's Cafe the first time I got to Japan to try this Vietnamese coffee. And let me tell you, it's good. It's rocket fuel, but it's really good.
That would explain a lot of the Best of Super Juniors matches, I would say.
Yeah.
Why are they 100 miles an hour?
How they came up with some of the wacky ideas for being the Elite was, and that's those moments, that type of stuff. Unfortunately, you and I, we only have so much bandwidth. We only have so much ability. They were lucky to able to do their own thing and monetize it because they said, forget it. It was the same thing with Joe and Greg in Ring of Honor. I said to them, let's make a deal with the Bucks to license a minute of footage of whatever. I'm not sure if it was always called Being the Elite or if they changed the name of it, but I can't remember.
Yeah, they changed it. Yeah.
Okay, whatever it was, because it was sort of like a travel vlog, and then it became so much more. But let's license a minute of footage of their vlog every week, and let's put it on our TV. Whether the Bucks are wrestling or not, that means the Young Bucks are on our TV show. And Joe and Greg were like,
Yeah, and that's where the hitting your head against the brick wall comes in, and it works because
to be honest, I didn't have that much care about Ring of Honor until the New Japan deal, which we talked about in a previous episode. In fact, one of the first, which was how we got to our relationship with New Japan and how there got to be English commentary was through Tiger Hattori and Rocky and me and Delirious all meeting at Tiger's Son's restaurant in New York and talking about the two promotions coming together and Joe Koff going, I don't know. That was the only time I fought.
Yeah.
And also, excuse me, I have to get a napkin because my nose is running, because that's one of the side effects of medication. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. So just before we go in, because I know we're going to tell some stories, but I also want to say you are okay. That was one of the things that we didn't. You're on medication.
I'm on medication.
He's got a runny nose. Yeah, and
but I'm not. But Joel, I'm not okay.
You're not okay, but you're also the fact that this is it's okay not to be okay kind of thing.
Right.
But I feel like we slipped right back into the wrestling talk and we forgot the fact that, you've gone through a hell of a 2026.
I'm feeling it like in my chest that I'm starting to, you know what I mean? As these stories are starting to race in my head, I can kind of feel, kind of that manic side. Most of what I deal with in my version of bipolar disorder is the down. And down means for me sleep, and lots of it, day upon day upon day of sleep. So I was in AEW and I was really in the thick of it, dealing with, just incredible down feelings. And I would sleep literally all week until it was time to go to TV Friday or Saturday, Friday, most of the time. And TV Saturday, home Sunday, back to sleep. That's the way it was. You could try to distract yourself. You can try to come up with things to do, but invariably all you're doing is interrupting your sleep, because you will get up for the thing to do. You'll go do the thing and then come back after the thing is done and go to sleep. It's not any way to live. It's not any cure. It's not even like a placebo. It's just a placeholder for a little bit while I'm not really doing any better. I'm just not sleeping here in this moment in time.
And that's one of the hard things I wanted to, because we'll talk about wrestling for ages, but I think from like my standpoint, it's the cause is definitely being in this industry. I think there are lots of different things that we could say that hit it over the years, but for sure it's something that you've had to live with and probably been unmedicated for. And I think what I was trying to get to was the fact that what Claire's told me is the fact that you will be on medication that will make you feel really sick until your body gets used to it. Right. There will be pain. There will be. So when I see you maybe clutching your chest like that, I go, oh no, maybe we'll hold back on the graps for a little. But
no, it's good because
it's a good thing. Oh, thank God.
It's a tightness. It's just it's an energy. But then there are times where I do feel like, and it's unrelated to it. It's partially unrelated to the bipolar stuff. It might be, because I'm 58 and I'm largely inactive, that I need to start moving more and I need to start exercising and eating better. But I have very little interest in doing either because who cares, right? I'm not worth it. I'm not worth being alive. And that's really what this boiled down to was so I had been in the hospital in May of 2024, whatever year it was. I'd been in the hospital for however long it was, came home, tried to put my life together, got a new job, and then went through all the way until this past January, and just realized some little trigger happened. And it was my wife and I getting in a disagreement about the garbage here at the house. And I realized in that moment in time that I did not want to live anymore. And I said, this isn't good. And I said, I'm going to the hospital right now, Dory. And I did. And I spent 10 days in the hospital in the inpatient. You can't leave, no shoelaces, no belt. Everybody's on suicide watch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I did get some kudos from the staff for, well, at least you recognized it. Yeah, I did. It scared the hell out of me. It scared the hell out of me that I felt that way.
Yeah, and it's scary because you realize I didn't know. I came to sit down. I had notes on the Bullet Club, sitting down, and I'm there, and then I go. Actually, I haven't heard from him all week, but that's part of me was like, no, that's a great sign because it means he's off social media and he's not looking at his phone. This is actually good, but actually, this is not good. No. And I didn't realize it, and so reach out to, fortunately got a relationship with your other half and able to find out what's going on and let a few close friends know what's going down. Casey, I did speak to Casey, who's a lovely guy. He once said to me, any friend of Kevin is a friend of mine, and I said, you poor man. But Casey's I was like, Yeah. I said, if you need anything, I will, if you need anything, let me know. If even if you want to like run the podcast, I'll help you out with it. And I think in his brain he went, nah, I'm not that desperate. That's it's fine. But there's a lot of people that that really care, and I think I was just trying to tell people just how much people wanted to reach out, that were that close, because I think one of the other things is you're very compartmentalized. So it was like, nope, I'm not going to message him. But everyone that I've messaged, I was like, yeah, I do a podcast with Kevin. Do you want to come on as a guest? It's like, I love Kevin. I mean, that's across the board. I was speaking to Taka Michinoku's people, because I was like, well, if I could get him just to come on and swear a lot, that would be great.
Right.
Because he is a living legend. But
give me his thoughts. Give me your thoughts, Taka, about Lucha Libre. And
that's what he said. That's basically what I. That's from Sean, his manager. That's the vibe I got. But these people absolutely love you, and it was heartwarming for me to see it, but also the fact I was like, well, I've got to tell Kevin needs to know this, because you're your own worst enemy when it comes to sort of relationships, unfortunately. But you are, it's something that and you're working on as well. So
I'm a crappy friend, and you know why? And this is, I've talked to, and again, doing therapy and going forward. Yet a lot of it is, well, Kevin, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you go out? And the answer, once thought about, it's in my mind, I feel like I don't deserve to have a good time. I don't deserve friends. I don't deserve to have anything nice, because I'm a piece of shit in my own mind, and I'm a loser and a failure, because that's how my brain works. So whenever I was asking for help in AEW, and I was asking them, where do I stand? What's going on? Why have things changed? Why am I getting this weird vibe? And they're basically gaslighting me, telling me, no, everything's fine. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. It was driving me deeper and deeper into insanity.
Yeah. And I mean, we've for legal reasons and advice, we obviously don't necessarily talk AEW.
Who cares about them? I don't care.
But yeah, I'm not. But I can say it, and you be present. Yeah.
There's a lot of it's. Did they do it on purpose? Did they try to? No. They're a big company. They got a lot of things going on. I'm a very small cog in the wheel. I'm a very small cog in the wheel of life. And it's only when you get into the healthcare system do you realize that whether it's a patient advocate, or whether it's a therapist, or whether it's a psychiatrist, many times those can be the only three people that you speak to that 100% care about you and only you. And the deal in the relationship is that those three people have to work together on your behalf. And if you think that one or any of those three people are not working on your behalf, you are supposed to tell the others and say, I want a new person in that role because they're not working 100% on my behalf. Nowhere else do you get this kind of attention and care, except in the mental health system. And everybody says, oh, the mental health system is terrible. No, it's great. And they don't throw people in insane asylums anymore to just let them rot. And they try to deal with them on an individual basis to try to fix them. You know who was the biggest advocate for me to return to do this podcast? Were the people that I was dealing with in the hospital. Because I was like, you have no idea the guilt that I felt for leaving you hanging, for leaving the audience hanging. And they were like, you need to do it. I'm like, I don't want to. Nobody cares about me. I'm a piece of shit. And they were like, no, you don't understand. You can talk about your wrestling stories, but you can also talk about mental health. And this is amazing. And what an opportunity you have. And I was like, applesauce. And they were like, no, seriously. And it was through them sort of beating on me, figuratively, that I was like, all right, you're right. I should do it. And they were like, hooray. But even then, it took me, what was it, January 20th, I left the hospital, and now here we are recording on March 13th. It took
Friday the 13th,
brother. It took
yeah.
it took another 6 weeks for me to, get my act together here before we could record.
And I'll be honest, the headspace and nerves that I felt about doing this, because obviously it's personal. I didn't want to necessarily host this when we go through podcast heat and
oh no, you're going to host it. You're hosting
it. That's what Kevin did. I was like, I don't like nepotism, and this is borderline nepotism. Because if I was born in Florida in the 80s, there's a very good chance Kevin could have been my dad.
Son of a bitch.
Hey, that's a compliment. If you think about it, that's a compliment.
True.
But the thing is with this, it's all about the person and not necessarily about anything else. It's not important. So I've stayed away from all the comments and all the other things, and I've been very quiet because it's not my place to say anything.
Comments?
Well, not really. It's more of letting, we've built a nice little audience up, and it's letting people know. But again, not for me to say. And this is a nice way to put it out there in hopefully a very positive way, because this is, guys, this is definitely not monetized. I'm telling you, we're doing this for the love of the game, but also eventually the monies. But in the meantime, there are a lot of things going on. I think the house, I would define this bipolar, and you going into various, I think it's 2024 going in, I get a call, you're like, hey, I'm just driving to the hospital. I'll see you in a week or two. And you're like, it was fairly serious then. So I spoke to, in speaking to, a lot of different people, I realised that you've built up a bit of a house of cards, and the fact that any time something happened, it would crumble down. And with AEW, you came in, you took someone's word at it. You're no longer the lead announcer. That's taken away, despite someone promising it. Then a referee doesn't book your flight. And each wit is a bit of a card coming, and then it just collapsed. Right. And whilst you were at AEW, they were good. They were getting you help. I think I remember saying, I'm seeing my guy on Wednesday, and I was like, oh, good. So there is that, and I think the fact that it is, there are books about it, and there's loads of help about it, and there's people are opening up more about it is great, and I think it's someone that is incredibly well liked and not thought of as, oh, that's Kevin. He's clever and coping, but you don't know what's going on behind those eyes. You don't know what's going on in their head. So I'm really, I said the AEW thing, don't clickbait me. But it's true. It is true. Like you things were taken away from you, and things that happened throughout that just collapsed, but it was there simmering anyway, and it's much better for you to do it in your 50s than in your 70s.
I had very upfront conversations with my current employer about where I stood. And when I had, sort of my flip out, one time, and I was held accountable for that. Kevin, we understand how you feel, but we also understand that this is work.
Yeah.
And so it's like, yeah, man, I get it. I totally get it. I understand. And when you change, when you start to change perspective on things, and you realize that it can't just be all medication. I can't just take drugs, Joel, as much as I would like to. Just take drugs and stay a zombie and not have to deal with anything, but you have to function in the world. And part of that too then becomes the balance between medication and therapy. And I followed up with my psychiatrist yesterday, the kind of touch base, 2 weeks, whatever it was, and switch of medication, taking me off of lithium, which is a very common bipolar disorder. It's a salt, and it's freely available. It's very inexpensive, and it's usually effective in treating bipolar disorder. But for me, all it did was make me sleep. And they said, yeah, it happens. It's not too common, but it does happen from time to time. So we'll switch. And they put me on another medication. And it's a low dose of something that they use for people who are generally considered psychotic. So you can be on a lot of one medication or a little bit of it, and it treats different things at different levels. Since I've switched to that in cooperation with a generalized antidepressant medication, I have noticed that I have leveled out, that I haven't necessarily wanted to sleep all the time, although I was telling my wife today I would love to do nothing more than go to sleep because I was dreading doing this. All the love in the world, but that's how I feel. And but the medication itself isn't enough unless I'm doing therapy as well and talking about it. And part of what we're going to do with this, I have a feeling, and my providers told me this, is that it will be therapeutic for you to talk about this in amongst, the wrestling talk, because let's be honest, Joel, people really don't care. There are some people who will care, but by and large, people want to hear wrestling talk and wrestling stories. And if they don't get it, they'll go away. So I want to give them wrestling talk and wrestling stories, but it's like sneaking vegetables to kids. You know what I mean? Here's something good for you that you didn't realize you needed.
Well, people need breaking news. They always need the new thing. So here's something. Tiger Mask W was Kota Ibushi. There you go. Boom. Exposed.
Whoa. Wait a minute.
I said W.
That was what a time that was. And that mask was heavy, rubberized. It was like the heaviest thing I've ever seen on a person's head. It is the neck strength required. He had no neck because he had destroyed it on aprons and mats all over the world.
DDT, yeah.
Oh my God, this thing. He took it off and I held it for a second. I was like, ugh. It was akin to the V4 championship, the IWGP Heavyweight Championship belt. I always said, my God, this thing weighs like 43 pounds. They weren't kidding. This title has some heft. And this mask, of course, it looked fantastic.
Yeah, that fur was incredible. But also that breaking news, it was ACH.
Wait a minute, no. That was Tiger Mask W, right?
Tiger Mask W, but who we faced, which was I'm blanking on his name now, but that was ACH basically.
They didn't call him Black Tiger, did they? Because that would have been like, you can't.
I think they did, and I didn't want to say it because I feel that that's libel.
Right, and the other one, and the other person who donned the mask for competition against Tiger Mask W was Juice Robinson. These are all well-known things, but in case you're catching up on your New Japan lore, if you're a recent entry into the fray, or if you want to just confirm what you thought to be true, or you want to win a bet with your friends, yes, the three wrestlers that were involved were Kota Ibushi, ACH, and Juice Robinson. Pretty damn good talent, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, and we all and they did it for the reboot of the Tiger Mask series, and it was actually very, very good. I've enjoyed it, and they also, what was really cool about it, Minoru Suzuki was in it, but was a non-contracted New Japan wrestler that was in. That shows quite a lot of respect that they had for Suzuki. But there you go. We people didn't know. We've unmasked 3 individuals. You're welcome.
Yeah,
that's what we do here. We take things from a decade ago, and we tell you what happened. And what happened was it was Kota Ibushi, Juice Robinson, and he's
what? Okay, great. Let's play a little game. Let's play the what could have been game.
Ooh.
Which is sort of like breaking news, but it's a little different. What could have been if things had gone in a different direction? Obviously, what could have been if Shinsuke Nakamura changed his mind and stayed? What could have been if AJ Styles changed his mind and stayed? I'm going to give you a sort of an under the radar one that I think might have really affected New Japan business in a positive way. And I want your thoughts on it. As we talked about in the last recorded episode that I did before I went, I talked about how Noah was nearly property of New Japan. Correct?
Yes, you did.
So to me, the biggest what could have been is Katsuhiko Nakajima. What would Nakajima have meant? Who competed in the G1 in 2016 that was won by Kenny Omega. What could have happened? How would Nakajima have played with others? Oh, he's the most enigmatic, dynamic, controversial, confounding. He's like the dark Ibushi.
That feels pretty accurate. It feels that Ibushi was this sort of positivity and energy and smiles and crazy bumps, and Pro Wrestling Noah's got at the time they had a pretty good roster, and I don't know. I don't know how I felt about Nakajima coming in, but
wait a minute. He was 20-something at the time.
28, I want to say. He would have been...
He's in his 20s. Now, match of the year, right? What was the match of the year?
Well, that was that Omega...
Nope. It was opening night of the G1. What was match of the year, Tokyo Sports?
Let me find out. Match of the year 2016.
Who was the ace of Noah?
Nakajima. Our friends at Voices of Wrestling are top of the charts. They've got a really good search engine optimization game. All right. No. 2016, Naito was Wrestler of the Year. Best Bout 2016. Okada Marufuji.
Thank you. So you had Marufuji. He's immediately plugged in to your main event spot. Okay? He got the October rematch. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and that rematch is underrated as well.
They love, for whatever reason, critics love the October rematch. Historically, every year, of course, we've got to find a title defense for the champ on the road to Wrestle Kingdom. Okay? So September, meh, not a big deal. October, he's going to take on generally the one. Okay? And it would have to be logical. Marufuji logically could main event the Dome. Toru Yano slipping over on the champion is not going to lead to the inevitable main event at Tokyo Dome being Toru Yano versus G1 champion.
Yeah. So I was going to say Marufuji, but because you said Nakajima, I was like, man, was I in a coma that year when Nakajima did it? I'm
telling you, I said under the radar. No one would be shocked by
Marufuji.
By Marufuji coming in because he was the ace of the company and he's a household name in Japan. Oh yeah, plug him right in. And if you wanted to throw Go Shiozaki in kind of on the second tier, you could do that. You absolutely could do that. And they had
have a Noah like a Noah style stable.
Sure.
Coming in. Yeah.
Do the reverse of what they did with Suzuki-gun.
Yes, right? Exactly.
Suzuki-gun went to Noah to invade, to take over, to do this and that. And, but that was leading up to Noah was going to be sold to New Japan, but double-crossed by his high school mate. My poor friend Sugabayashi was double-crossed, and Noah was sold to somebody else. Anyway, and now if you look, Noah kind of coming a couple of different times, hat in hand. And what did they do to Kaito Kiyomiya? They beat the ever living bejesus out of him. Killed him dead. His career's over. I'm not even saying, and I wasn't even saying Young Lions. Oh, the future. No, Daisuke, no, you could take this one, you could take that one. No, I'm telling you, the one at the time, the one that I'm always going to be fascinated by is Nakajima. I've never been able to get him out of my mind because of how intense he is and real.
Yeah.
Scary.
But when we talk about Marufuji, all it makes me remember is Damon McDonald. So when I took him to Rev Pro, the cockpit, and I said, "Oh, here we go, this is great." And then I think Osprey was running an event on like the Thursday, and at the time, like I couldn't get childcare. The wife was like it was really hard. And I called Damon. I was like, I don't know if I can come with you. He's like, it's Marufuji. That was his voice of it's Marufuji. And that's the voice is him. Every time I hear Marufuji, I just it's Marufuji. And I'm like, and he goes, I'm sat next to some grumpy people, and I went, yeah, it's a Thursday in London, mate. Like, Of course they're grumpy. They've just come from work and had to get on the tube. Like, relax, pal. We can't all be on holiday in Shepherd's Bush. But yeah, it just made me laugh. But but that's the great things that that's what this podcast is. But we are strong style stories, and I like the fact that Kevin's going through some stuff, kids, and we can not only document it, but we can help him through it, because I think positivity and thoughts and all sorts really do help. So
let's wrap this one up, because we don't want to overstay our welcome. But I think that as we are going forward, we can continue to do both. Plus, as I have any news or updates to her, I'm not going to bog you down with, on Monday, I felt like a noodle. No, I'm not doing that. As updates happen that are, you can assume that everything is going okay unless I'm telling you. And even if you're assuming that everything is okay, they might not be okay.
And what we're going to do is I got some guests just out of hustle and wanting to keep this going.
Yeah, hustle.
If Kevin's not feeling good, he's got a Rolodex of people.
If you could get the Generalissimo from Hustle, now we've got something.
I can do one better. I can get you Gino Gambino. How dare you?
How dare you?
So that's a little teaser coming up. I did speak to Farley about doing maybe one episode a month, just because he is an absolutely lovely guy, and his social media game's great. TJP's smashing it with Triple R. So maybe I'll test you on your lucha knowledge, Kevin.
I have none. How about this? Okay, so legitimate news today. And we're talking about the brain, and we got to sometimes talk about brain injury. None of what I'm dealing with, guys, has ever related to any bump I took or getting hit with a chair. Nothing like that, right? This is just something that is what it is. There's a referee in OVW, and it's on social media today, and of course, everyone's hair is on fire running around, who got KO'd. He took a ref bump, guy fell on top of him and smashed his head and is out. And they didn't pick him up and powerbomb him. They just didn't run out and attend to him. Okay, here's my thoughts real quick. Everybody's saying that everybody involved with that should be fired and everybody in OVW should be fired. There isn't anybody watching the referee. There isn't anybody watching that should take care of the personnel in case they get knocked unconscious. And the people that are in the ring are too busy thinking about the next spot to worry about the referee. And none of them had any idea that the referee was hurt, because he was hurt. And none of them thought, oh, maybe the referee is, they all thought maybe the referee's just selling. So let's not get too panicky, as Vince Russo would say. Okay? Let's not get too panicky, bro. Let's not get too panicky. Because there are things that happen in the moment that you don't know. You don't know. We had a guy get knocked unconscious in almost the exact same way at an ROH tryout camp. And do you know how some people found out that he was knocked unconscious? Because we told them afterward. They didn't know. They thought he was selling. And then there were other people like me and Roddy who were standing right there who heard him snoring when he got knocked out. And we're like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. Stop. Match is over. Back up. Because we realized right away he got KO'd. That's what happened to this referee, folks. Take a step back and think logically. Think about what happened and think about the people that are involved. Okay? Should there be somebody watching a live feed in the moment? Yes, absolutely. One of the things that I talked about in AEW when I was there was that the doctor doesn't get the live feed in their computer screen, in their monitor that they're watching. You know what they get? They get the TV broadcast. So it's delayed. So if somebody, bang, hits the pole and knocks himself goofy, it's not going to be until the doctor at ringside sees it on the TV feed that he's going to realize that that guy sitting over there on the floor isn't just selling, he's out. So we talk about changing that, changing protocols, making things better. That's the way life is. So everybody involved in this situation, first of all, we want the referee to know we love him, get better. Hope you're okay. Please, God. And everybody involved who is in the ring, I don't want you eaten alive by guilt. We can all do better and we can all learn from this. And we can all learn better with we can all learn better from a company standpoint in making sure that we got live eyes and a medical professional on the people that are in the ring individually. Because every sport does that. But even the NFL gets it wrong with their concussion protocol. So the biggest sports leagues in the world try and sometimes come up short. So take it easy. I hope everybody is well with that. But I did want to talk about it because it does involve the brain. And it does lead to, some have said, post-concussion syndrome. And a lot of the symptoms of that are related to bipolar and other things. So wanted to make sure we talked about that before we ended.
Yeah, and that's something that, you know, you're in a sport of selling. I've ring announced before, and I saw one of the guys with a black eye, and I was like, "Are you all right?" Because I saw him get hit by a bell, and I heard it, and he had the black eye, and I was like, I'm pretty certain he wasn't out, but I don't know what I'm looking for, so I just was checking, but not in the audience. I was like, was everything all right? He's like, don't worry, it's business.
Yeah, but things like that happen.
Yeah,
but then there is the
next level.
The next level where we don't know if someone. Listen, everybody knew Sid broke his leg because we could see it was pointing the wrong direction.
Yes.
Okay. But not everybody could see what the referee did because, again, it was sort of a dog pile on top of him. And we didn't see what he was doing. Oh, he's seizing. Yes, he's seizing. He's having a concussion. But you know what? Wrestlers know to do this when they're seizing, when they're selling, to make it look like they've been knocked out. It happens. So we've got to be mindful of the big situation, be mindful of everyone involved. And not just rush to judgment on social media with our hair on fire, screaming and yelling about, wanting to throw people under the bus.
And it's like I said, I don't want to be too negative, but there was a speaking out movement where a lot of people were throwing a lot of stuff unfairly at a lot of good, honest promoters that are just spinning so many plates. And I was like, well, you do it. You book it, and people won't. And I find that if you're going to criticize, you have to take into consideration everything. I've promoted events, and it is a nightmare. So like, I understand, but these things are stuff that we could talk about. I don't know how to end this because it's been a heavy episode, and obviously you've really unleashed the world. That you've released the beast.
Let's do like a mariachi kind of maracas thing where I shake a couple of my pill bottles. No?
No, that would be too percussive, I fear. No, how about look, guys? I'm wearing an England cricket one, but the reveal of I am wearing a CM Punk t-shirt who Kevin spoke to and did not pass on the fact that I absolutely love that man. So
no, I completely blew off your request for New Era gear and CM Punk communication. I'm not doing either.
I'd have taken CM Punk gear. Have you seen the prices?
Have you seen the prices? Oh.
Have you seen the prices? Well, on that bombshell. That's the bombshell, not the bipolar bit. But just so you know, I'm going to have a supplemental.
It's not a bit, Joel.
It's a bit, isn't it?
No. You
said this. Oh, damn. I've been worked, bro. So yeah, I'm gonna have supplemental podcast with Claire, and if people have questions about bipolar or anything, email strongsoulstories@gmail.com. Well, I'll try and get some really useful links. Obviously, it's going to be a little bit harder because I'm based in the UK. Claire's based in the UK, and I don't know how the world works. I haven't got that amount of time.
I can tell you this, that there is in the United States, 988 is the suicide awareness line. You can call that pretty much anywhere. 988, of course, 911 as well. You can always say that, and you can always call them. If you're in crisis, reach out, get somebody. There is nothing, if you even just want to go to your local emergency room and you just tell them that I'm not feeling well and I'm thinking I might want to harm myself, I'm not sure. They will give you all the love and the care that you need. First love, then care. It's amazing. They will keep you safe, and you'll never feel stupid for doing it. You'll thank yourself later for doing it. So whatever you need to do, reach out to me all over social media at Real Kevin Kelly on the Twitter, X, Instagram. I'm on Facebook on as Kevin Kelly, real name Kevin Foote. Whatever you want to do, send me a note, and I'll do my best to point you in the right direction, or at least kibitz with you about what you're going through or what I'm going through.
But don't contact me. Email, Strong Soul Stories. We want to keep this going, we want to keep this alive, but more importantly, there's guy behind it. Did we spoil? We haven't even spoiled why you left New Japan. We've teased it, but we haven't actually gone full pelt. So how about that?
We'll talk about it next time.
We'll talk about it whenever. We are fluid. So
next time could be 4 months from now. You have no idea with me.
Oh God, I hope not. I was at one point I was looking at flights to Bumblefuck, Pennsylvania. I can't be dealing with that.
We have an we have an international airport here in Bumblefuck. I'll have you know.
I know it's a guy on pedaling, and the wheels are going round, and he's pedaling really hard.
It's that old black and white footage with the 8 wings, and then all of a sudden it just collapses. That's our airline.
Yeah. Wright Brothers, Pennsylvania. I didn't want any. Yeah, or they said we could put you in a Zeppelin. I was like, no, that doesn't end well. So yeah. For all historical methods of transport, you contact me, Mr. Yolius on Instagram. But for everything else, please do hassle Kevin, who's also given his shoot name out, which is wonderful.
I couldn't care less.
He could not care. Those are the pills talking. Well done, Mental Health America. You've made it happen. I'm Joel.
If Sonny Corinthos could tell everybody his real name is Maurice Bernard, I think I could tell the world that my real name.
Oh, Maurice Bernard. That's sort of, it's got Jewy Frenchy vibes, hasn't it?
I don't know. I wouldn't know what that is, but
Bernard.
Please
Bernard's very. Unless you're a giant, in which case you work in NXT. That just a little wrestling joke for everyone that stayed. But I've been trying to say goodbye for ages. So bye everybody. This is Kevin Kelly. Where's Kevin? He's here.
I'm in my kitchen. Love you.
Like and subscribe.
Do it now.